Hello and welcome to Train Signal. You're watching A+ Essentials, Troubleshooting Printers and Scanners. This is part of Train Signal Fast Track CBT video, CompTIA A+. In this video, our overall goal is to provide you the knowledge needed to troubleshoot common printer and scanner issues. We'll talk about how to gather information, analyze that information, and then resolve those common printing and scanner problems. Alright, specifically in this video we're covering A+ Objective 4.3, Identify Tools, Basic Diagnostic Procedures, and Troubleshooting Techniques for Printers and Scanners. We'll learn about gathering information about the printer, identifying the symptom, reviewing device error codes, print or scan test pages, use appropriate generic or vendor-specific diagnostic tools. We'll talk about reviewing and analyzing the collected data, including establishing probable cause, reviewing documentation, and reviewing knowledge bases. Then we'll talk about identifying solutions to the printer and the scanner problems, how to define specific causes and apply fixes, replace consumables, and verify functionality. So the first step in this process is gathering information. Now, you cannot be successful at troubleshooting a printer or scanner issue if you don't take the time to gather the information necessary to make the right diagnosis. Now, because of this, gathering information is just as important a step as any other step in the troubleshooting process. Now, according to CompTIA, important steps required to gather information are: first off, identify the symptoms. You could ask the user what's going on. You could experience it for yourself. You can look at the front of the printer and review the device error codes. Or on the computer or the print server, there might be error codes there, or some sort of history as far as what happened, what print job specifically was printing when the printer jammed. It might be important. It might not. You can create a printer test page. So you go into the printer, on the printer menu on the front of the printer there typically, and there's a section that you can print test pages. This will print out a number of different pages from the printer, and some of them are diagnostic. Maybe they'll tell you how many sheets have passed through the printer total, or when was the last time that the toner cartridge or the developer or fuser, things like that, were changed. On a scanner, you can scan some test pages and then bring the results up on your computer and see where the scanner might be having some problems. So these are just tests you're doing to gather important information. Try to gather everything that could be the possible cause so that next you can analyze that information. Next up, you can use the appropriate generic or vendor-specific diagnostic tools that include web-based utilities. For example, when you buy HP printers, I know they come with a CD, and you can install that CD on your computer, and typically people have to do that to get the printer drivers, but usually there's some printer diagnostic tools on there. So these tools can query the printer and pull back information about maintenance, when was the last time the maintenance was done. They can print out test pages, diagnostic pages on things like inkjet printers. They can align the print head. They can clean the inkjet cartridges. You know, there's a lot of things that these diagnostic tools can do. Then on the other hand, a lot of printers have their own web-based interface. So you might be able to go to the laser printer's IP address for that printer and pull up your web browser and be able to run similar tools but in a web-based interface and going directly to the printer, so you don't have to install anything on your computer. Same thing with scanners even. Higher-end scanners might have that built-in web-based interface. Now, I ask you to keep the PC troubleshooting procedure in mind as you troubleshoot printer and scanner issues, because troubleshooting printer and scanner issues can be very similar to PC troubleshooting. You know, first off, you go through the basics. Did you check the power? Did you check the cable that goes to the computer or the cable that goes to the network? Is it hardware or software? You know, if you can do an internal diagnostics printing test page and the print quality looks fine, then at least you know that the printer itself, the hardware, seems to work fine. Then you can focus on the software, the communication between the printer and the computer, so on and so forth. But keep that PC troubleshooting procedure in mind. All right, my next piece of advice here is to know your paper path. Every printer is designed differently, and you can go all the way from a simple printer, which is this printer here, all the way up to one of those high-end multifunction copier, scanner, printer, fax machine units that do duplexing, collating, sorting, stapling, hole punching. One of those very complicated printers that has a lot of complex paper paths and a lot of complex pieces. This printer here is just a simple printer. You see here's the paper tray. The rollers pick up the paper, bring it in through here, underneath the toner cartridge, around here to the fuser, and then up to the top, and then out the top to a paper tray. So it's a very simple paper path. But what if you had a duplexer unit? It would run the paper through here, it would back it out, it would turn it over, and then send it back through here, then back up the top and then out. So just an example of duplexing. Maybe your paper is jamming down here where there could be a duplexing unit. Or maybe you have lots of paper trays down here underneath this printer, and when the paper comes up to go up into the printer, maybe that's where it's getting caught or crinkling. So know your paper path. Know how the paper flows through the printer. And this is the same thing for inkjet printers. Understand how the paper goes in the front and then somehow goes through the under the print carriage and then back out the top. Same thing with scanners. If you have just a single flatbed scanner, well, it's pretty simple. You just lay the page on there. But you can have sheet feeders on scanners, and they can get more complicated than just a common flatbed scanner. All right, the next one is know your printer. And when I say that, I mean know how your printer works. When you first get a printer, open it up. Take out the toner cartridge. Look at all the different gears. Where's the drum? Where's the developer? Where's the fuser? Where does the paper flow through the printer? Is there a waste toner receptacle that you have to enter empty? Can you find the charging corona? These different things, all these pieces are important parts of your laser printer. And knowing that printer will really help you when it comes to troubleshooting that printer. And this is especially true of a company where you have a standard for your printers. So if everyone in the company uses HP 2300 printers and you have 500 of these printers, well, obviously it's going to be very important to know that printer inside and out if you're the technician that's going to be primarily supporting that printer. So open one up, tear it apart if you can, and put it back together. So knowing your printer is a very important part of being able to successfully troubleshoot your printer. All right, now let's talk about analyzing information. Now, once you've gathered the data about the printer or the scanner issue, you need to analyze that data. What is that data telling you? Well, according to the CompTIA, important steps required to review and analyze collected data are listed here. Now, too many people, once they gather the data, they immediately jump into the analyzing the data and determining a cause phase. In other words, they don't take their time. They look at the printer, they open it up, they say, oh, here's a jammed piece of paper, that must be the cause. They put it all back together and try to print again. Well, they didn't really take the time to analyze the data. Why did that jam? Are the pickup rollers covered in ink? Were there other jams inside the printer? Is the toner cartridge is a piece of the plastic that covers the drum? Has it broken off? And that's really what caused the jam. So on and so forth. That jam was caused by something, and you can't just jump to a conclusion that, oh, well, the printer just jammed, just pull up the paper and just put it back together and let's print again. So according to CompTIA, these are the important steps we need to take to analyze this information. So first off, establish the probable cause. What was the cause for that piece of paper to jam? Let's look around and try to figure it out. Where did the paper flow flow through the printer? What was the paper path? Where did it come from? Where is that piece of paper going to? Was there something blocking it that caused it to not be able to move on? Review the service documentation. When was the last time that printer had a PM, a periodic maintenance, done on it? When was the last time it was cleaned? When was the last time the toner cartridge was changed? When was the last time a maintenance kit was put in? A lot of these printers have a maintenance kit that has to be put in after so many pages were printed on the printer. And I think of this kind of like your 50,000 mile checkup on your car. Periodically, yeah, you change the oil, but at 50,000 miles, you have your major service done where the car is, taken apart, the belts are analyzed, the air filters changed, all the parts are lubricated, so on and so forth. They have this long list of things that has to be done at this major maintenance interval. Well, laser printers have the same thing. They have this maintenance kit that has to be changed after so many tens of thousands of pages have been printed. So when was the last time that maintenance kit was replaced, and is it time now for the maintenance kit? Review the knowledge base and define and isolate the problem. In other words, is it software? Is it hardware? Is it driver? Is it connectivity? Or is it the printer itself? The internet is an excellent source for resolving common problems, be it with PCs, printers, laptops, or your operating system. No matter what it is, if you type in, the cause of the problem and the model of the printer, you might very well find some valuable information to help you out. Is it a software driver? Do you need to update your driver? Do you have the wrong driver completely? Do you have the right connectivity method? Are you going to the right IP address for the network print server? Or is the printer just jamming? Does it have poor print quality? Is it the toner cartridge? Did you change the paper recently? It's amazing the effect changing paper and having the improper paper can cause on your printing. I had a situation where we had a large printer and it was working fine, and then one day it just started jamming. And we tried everything, took it apart. We had a certified technician come out. He replaced the parts. We replaced the toner cartridge. All these things we went through, and finally it was determined that the cause of the jams was that the company that we got our forms from, the roll that the forms were being taken from had gotten very small, and what the effect was the forms had a bend to them. The forms were kind of arched, and this arch, as the form went into the printer and went through the different rollers and stuff, at one point the arch in the paper was causing the form to jam right there. And it was just the form. The forms were kind of at an arch, and if you laid the forms on a flat table, you would kind of see a little bend right there at the end of the form, and that was what was causing the jam. So the paper was intact. It wasn't, frayed. It wasn't cut in half or torn or anything. It just had a little arch near the end of it that caused the printer to jam. Nothing wrong with the printer at all. So you have to really try to isolate these problems and examine, everything that's going on. Printers are very complex mechanical devices. All right, now resolving common printer and scanner problems. So you gathered your information, you analyzed it. What do you think might be the cause? Well, now we're at the point of taking what we think might be the cause and then taking some action to try to resolve it. So now that we believe we have identified the problem, you need a solution. And while gathering and analyzing is great, the solution is really the ultimate fix, right? CompTIA says that an A-plus technician should be able to define specific causes and apply resolutions or fixes, replace consumables as needed, toner cartridges and so on, verify functionality, and get user acceptance of the problem fix. So as a good technician, you want to talk to the user. You gathered the information from them originally. In the end, when you think that you have a fix for that problem and you implement it, or perhaps before you implement it, you need to talk to the user and review the resolution with them to make sure that they're satisfied and to make sure that you're really fixing the problem that they originally complained about. You don't want to fix some other problem or cause more problems. So now let's learn how to resolve common printer and scanner problems. We'll break these up into some sections, different sections for each different type of printer or scanner. So first off, dot matrix printers. So dot matrix printers are most common today in business environments where they need reliable printers with low operating costs and where they can have printers that function in rugged environments. So like out in a manufacturing plant or in a construction environment, they need some heavier duty printers that aren't going to break when they start to get dirty and can print fast. Many of these dot matrix printers are much faster than laser printers will ever be. Now, one of the common problems could be low print quality. And because dot matrix printers use a ribbon, you should check for a worn printer ribbon. You could check for a pin not firing on the print head by doing a test page. You could check for the ribbon improperly installed. Sometimes the ribbon's not all the way down, it's not seated properly. Or check the print quality settings. Maybe someone set the printer on low print quality to get faster, higher speed out of it, and you just didn't know about it. All right, then there's paper jams. Many times a paper jam is caused by an obstructed paper path or stripped drive gears. So stripped drive gears, you're going to have a technician replace those. But an obstructed paper path, you can get in there and maybe with a small screwdriver or tweezers, you can clear out some perf or a little piece of paper, or maybe a paper clip fell in there, and it's causing the printer to jam. So also be careful about labels in dot matrix printers. They can be a real mess if you aren't careful. Then there's lines of printer output being misaligned. This is caused by a damaged stepper motor. You should never force the gears of the printer to move by hand when the printer's on. This can seriously damage the stepper motor. All right, now let's talk about some common bubble jet or inkjet printer issues. Now, bubble jet or inkjet printers are most common in home and small office environments where they need quality output and perhaps color, as well as low operating costs as compared to a color laser printer, for example. Now, bubble jet printers are so simple that most trouble can be resolved with replacing the ink cartridge, because it also contains the print head. So when you do that, you're replacing some important parts of the printer, all in one little cartridge. Now always try the manufacturer's utility for aligning and cleaning the print cartridge before proceeding with replacing or cleaning the cartridge yourself. So down here I listed some common problems. The first one is thin blank lines through the text. This can be caused by an inkjet cartridge where the ink has dried and a clogged hole has formed on the print head. So you could go through the cleaning process with the utility from the manufacturer, and then you may have to clean the print cartridge yourself. Then there's smearing ink. Smearing ink is caused by a hole in the cartridge or user error, meaning a user went in and maybe cleaned the cartridge and accidentally poked it and it's leaking, or the cartridge has just gone bad and you just need to replace it. Next, there's print quality goes from light to dark. You can always try cleaning the ink cartridge head, or it could be the suction pump on the printer. There's paper jams. You could have a worn or dirty pickup roller or rollers that need to be replaced, or just bad paper, paper that wasn't meant for your printer, and the pickup rollers are having a hard time moving it through the printer. All right, now let's talk about some common laser printer problems. Now, laser printers today, along with bubble jet printers, are the two most common printers. You'll find laser printers or bubble jet printers just about everywhere. And even in many businesses today where the users start to get a little spoiled, some of them have a laser printer or bubble jet printer even on every desk in the office. So laser printers are unfortunately the most complex printer you can troubleshoot. But because they're so common and they become more intelligent over time, Usually it's not too difficult to resolve laser printer issues. So the first laser printer issue listed here is the paper jam. Now, paper moves fast through a laser printer, and the faster it moves, the more paper jams you're going to have. Usually the cause of a paper jam is a worn pickup rollers, or it also could be worn drive gears. Now, worn exit rollers could also be a possibility. But again, know your paper path. Where is the paper jamming? It could also be the paper quality. Humidity needs to be maintained between 25 and 50% to maintain good paper quality. So if you keep your paper in an area that gets a lot of humidity, you might consider moving that paper because that could be a cause of the jam. Paper shape. Remember I told you about the story where we had a big printer and it started jamming and it turned out to be the paper shape. That could be a possibility in any paper jam. The next one is blank pages or no toner on the page. Now this can be caused by a toner cartridge. The toner cartridge is many times the cause of laser printer issues. Just like on a bubble jet printer, the ink cartridges that contain the print head are many times the cause of the issue. You can shake the cartridge and you can listen for toner to see if the toner has completely run out. Sometimes people will put in a new toner cartridge and forget to remove the seal that covers where the toner comes out of the cartridge. You have to make sure you remove that tape seal. You could also have a problem with your transfer corona assembly. It could be damaged or missing, or your transfer corona roller. So you can check those out. Could be a problem with the high voltage power supply. You can this is what charges the transfer corona. So keep those in mind. All right, the next one is black pages. So what causes a black page is there's toner all over the page. And in that case, a charge is not being placed on the EP drum due to the charging unit in the toner cartridge not working. Replace the toner cartridge and that problem should be resolved. The next one is frequent black marks on the paper. This could be caused by toner spilled inside the printer or a crack in the toner cartridge. Both of these cause leaky toner or cause toner to leak onto the rollers. Now the solution is to clean the rollers and potentially replace the toner cartridge. The next problem is vertical black lines on the paper. This can be caused by a groove or scratch in the drum, in the toner cartridge, or a dirty charging corona wire. Either way, cleaning the corona wire or replacing the toner cartridge should resolve it. Another problem is a vertical white line on the paper. In this case, you should clean the corona wires, and some printers even come with small brushes that you can use to clean the corona wires. And our last problem listed here is the output is all garbage, and a lot of it. This can be caused by an incorrect printer driver, such as PCL versus PostScript, or a bad printer interface card. I've seen print jobs that were supposed to be one page and ended up printing out, say, 100 pages of just garbage on 100 pages of laser printed output. You'll see a big stack of it, and it just keeps on coming out. This is caused by incorrect printer drivers. That one page of printer text that was in, say, PostScript, instead of printing, the 3 words on that page, it printed the entire PostScript document, which is a huge document that explains to the printer exactly how to print the 3 words on the page. All right, our next topic is HP laser printers. HP laser printers are the most common printer today, both in inkjet and laser printing. So because of that, we're going to focus on how to perform self-tests on laser printers made by HP. Now, self-tests are a great way to determine where the problem is really coming from on the printer. So the first type of self-test is the engine self-test. This is where you test the printer engine, but you bypass the printer formatting card or the interface card. Now, you might be able to perform this from a self-test button or from the printer's LCD interface. The next type of self-test is the half self-test. This is where you perform the engine test, but you interrupt it halfway to see if it will help you narrow down the source of the problems. And when I say interrupt it, I'm talking about opening the top of the printer and stopping the print to see where the page is in this self-test process as it goes through the printer. The next type of self-test is a secret self-test. This is where you put the printer into maintenance mode. You can find instructions on how to do this on the internet. Commonly, you can use online, continue, then enter buttons on the laser printer to do it, but it really varies from model to model. So I would consult the internet. Now, after you press online, continue, enter, you go through this process. When the screen is blank, you press continue, then enter. The printer will perform a test, and tell you 00 ready. Then you press offline, then you press and hold down test until the printer says 04 self-test. Whew, that's a long set of instructions. But like I said, consult the internet before you try to do that secret self-test to get the proper instructions for your printer, because this is just a generic list of commonly how it's done on some of the more common, actually some of the more older HP models. Now, your printer may at times give you a error code. This error code can be looked up on the internet, and here's a website that I found where they list out all the different printer error codes. I'm going to click on this. Let's go take a look. So here you see HP LaserJet error codes, and if you scroll down, here's codes 0 through 19, all the way up to 60 and more, and then there's text error messages. They have them organized in this way. So if I click on this one, you can see that an error code of 3.0 paper jam will tell you the location, and this is a non-specific paper jam, and it tells you instructions on what to do about that. So to me, this is a great website. If you have an HP printer and you get an error code, come to this website and they'll tell you what to do. All right, we have a few more laser printer topics here. Here's some common tasks to perform when the laser printer doesn't print. So first, check for an error or jammed paper. If there's an error on the front of the printer and the printer's offline, that's why it's not printing. Check to see if there's jammed paper inside. Open it up, take out the toner cartridge, check the paper path. If you have to, turn it off and back on, and watch the startup to see if there's some sort of error that happens when the printer starts up. Now, once it started, did it go online? Make sure it went online. If your printer's not online, it's not going to print. Now, when a job is sent to it, what happens? Does the printer receive the job? Does it say job received, processing job, and does it act like it's going to print? Is the fan on? Many times bigger laser printers will have fans that cool the laser printer. If the fan's not on, just like a PC, the laser printer could be overheating. Did the printer make any noise when it tried to print? Did you hear a grinding noise, or was it just normal noises? Has the person printed to it before? It's surprising how many people get a new printer, call and say my printer won't print, but they never tell you that they just hooked it up and it's never worked before. So ask the person, when was the last time you printed to this printer successfully? Do they have the right queue? Are they really sending the print job to this printer, or are they sending it to some other printer and you're just trying to troubleshoot a printer that you think isn't working, but really it was a job was never even sent to it. It was sent to some other printer and the job's just sitting over there. You can remove the toner cartridge, check inside for toner or jam paper, shake the cartridge, reinsert, and try to reprint. You know, that's commonly like kind of the Control-Alt-Delete of the printer world here is take out the toner cartridge, shake it, check for paper jams, put it back in, and try it again. But, you know, sometimes that'll work. Most of the time, it doesn't really resolve the problem. The problem's still there somewhere. All right, we talked about laser printer, bubble jet, and dot matrix printer issues. Now let's touch on scanner issues. And we haven't spent much time on scanner issues because overall scanners are much simpler than printers, especially laser printers. Scanners have very few moving parts, and those moving parts must work for the scanner to function, of course, but there's just so few moving parts, you don't usually have a lot of problems with scanners when you compare the amount of problems to laser printers. So first off, if you're having problems with your scanner, is it powered on? It's not going to work, of course, if it doesn't have power. Next, are there any noises coming from the scanner? Good noises or bad noises? Normal noises or grinding noises? Noise at startup is normal. You turn on the scanner and it does sort of a calibration and it makes a lot of noise. Ask the most frequent user of the scanner for assistance in knowing what is normal. So if you've never used the scanner before, it might be hard for you to know what's a normal noise from the scanner. Will the scanner scan? Restart the scanner, restart the PC, try another scan to see if the scanner will work. You can open the top or crack the lid on the flatbed scanner and watch the scanning mechanism as it moves to make sure it really moves and is really trying to do a scan. All right, and with that, we've reached the end of our video on troubleshooting printers and scanners. In this video, we learned the important troubleshooting procedure as presented by CompTIA on how to gather information about the problem. Make sure you spend a lot of time gathering that information before you move on to analyzing and resolving. We talked about how to analyze information properly, use all the different diagnostics tools, do your own tests. Don't just take the word of someone else. We talked about how to resolve common printer and scanner problems on dot matrix printers, bubble jet printers, laser printers, and scanners. It's important that you know your paper path and that you know your printer. How does it work? Be familiar with that printer. Hopefully you have that luxury. Some printer technicians have to just walk into a situation blindly on a printer that they've never worked on. But spend as much time getting to know the printers that you'll be working on as you can. And when in doubt, or if you have any questions, of course, use the internet. It's a great resource to look up things like error codes or common printing problems. So that's the end of our video on troubleshooting printer and scanner issues. Thank you very much.